to ask you. Aaron Rodgers, when's he coming? He's going to be here. He's going to be here.
We've been talking all show, Connor Rogers, about tanking in the NBA. Maybe we need to pivot to tampering. I mean, I ain't trying to be the popos or the fans here, but he's still technically under contract with the Packers. I don't know if Joe Douglas should be saying he's going to be here, but we think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in New York. But damn it, when, Connor? I mean, my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, they've dropped the protection in case he only plays 1 year. They were going back and forth on getting something back in 25. But now it's about whether it's a straight first-round pick in 2024. Does this get resolved anytime soon? And if so, who blinks?
It'll be before the draft. It has to be. For the sake of Green Bay getting at least a pick in this year's draft, that'll be a top 50 selection. And then the fact of these two teams really coming together on those 2024 conditional terms. And like you said, Michael, will there be conditional terms? I think everybody's pretty confident in this year's draft with the Jets picking back-to-back at 42 and 43. One of those picks will go back to Green Bay. But when you look at the 2024 structure of the pick, where does it start and where can it end, right? Does it start as a third rounder and it makes its way to a second rounder based on play time and it makes its way to a first rounder based on how far the Jets go? That's something that I've heard a lot. It's something that makes sense to me because it gives you protection of Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, and it gives Green Bay a bonus of, hey, if the Jets make, say, the AFC title game, they're guaranteed a first-round pick. So I think ultimately that's where we land on, and we'll see if any sweeteners are thrown in on top of that.
You know what, Connor, I'm just fascinated by the top two quarterbacks in the NFL draft. The quarterbacks we think, I should say it that way because the draft is always full of surprises. And it's back and forth. Most of the time you hear C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. And look, man, I'm a Buckeye through and through, okay? It's in my veins. But I look at it, and I think if C.J. Stroud doesn't go first, maybe people are overthinking it. And if you look at his production and you look at his ability and what he's able to do and how coachable he is, how smart he is, I'm sorry, Connor, I don't know how you... Hey, but not like C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has more.
No?
Not like C.J. Stroud.
Really?
C.J. Stroud has those things in abundance.
He got height on him.
I think not only does he have height, I think he has a higher ceiling too. How do you see this thing?
Clever.
How do you see it, Connor?
I like how you put that.
Man, I think it's gonna be right down to the wire, but I'll stick with what I've thought for a long time, and that is Bryce Young will be the number one pick of this draft. And you know what? The one thing he has against CJ Stroud that is undeniable, and he has this against everybody in the draft by a wide gap, his passing numbers when pressured are out of this world. And that to me is a sixth sense before the snap and after the snap to see the field, to feel pressure even when you can't see it in front of you and deliver the football. And Stroud is really good. He has a little bit of a ways to go on that, as does Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker, anybody you want to name in this draft. But Bryce Young, you could put him on an NFL field today and he can read the blitz, he can feel pressure and deliver the football out in a timely manner. And that's why teams are falling in love with him. He's just different in that aspect. And I think I've told you guys before, the only other guy that you can even think of coming out of the draft in the last couple of years with that sense was Joe Burrow, and that's a pretty special name to throw around in the conversation.
I know
Carson Palmer's best quarterback in the NFL, Joe Burrow. Yeah. I'm sorry, what'd you say? What'd you say, Michael?
No, I'm saying I know he just got engaged. He's feeling himself a little bit. He's going to be joining the club soon, so you feeling pretty confident. You feeling some kind of way. I'm going to just push back very slightly and say, sure, Bryce Young, his numbers under pressure are good. Why? Because he was thrown into the deep end. He did get pressured. C.J. Stroud can't help it. The pressure didn't come very often at Ohio State. Okay, pressure for Bryce Young. How about quick release for C.J. Stroud? You don't have to wait until the pressure comes. You see it. You can read it.
Mike's
you know where to go with the ball.
For C.J. Stroud.
You know where I'm standing on the table for him.
You pounding the table for
He
C.J.
is
Stroud.
going to be. He's the best quarterback in this draft, and I can't believe, Connor, that you don't see it. But anyway, I'm off it. What were you saying, Mike?
Listen. Go ahead, Mike.
Nothing as important as what you just said. No, go ahead, Connor, if you want to respond.
I mean, these Buckeye goggles can appreciate this. And listen, I love Stroud. I can't believe you're making me battle against Stroud. But he also has thrown to Chris Olave, Rookie of the Year Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jackson Smith-Njigba. And
he made those
it did
guys.
make him better. But I think that
No,
goes
he
a
made
long
them
way
better.
as well.
He made them better.
All right. Well, we'll see about that. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could be a top 3 pick in next year's draft. JSN will be a top 15 pick this year. And I don't need to speak for Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave with what they just did in their rookie seasons as well. So I think some of that goes into it as well, is that Bryce has been able to elevate. I know it's Alabama, but I'll say this. It wasn't the Alabama we're used to seeing steamroll everybody in the trenches or at wide receiver over the years as well. So I think a little bit of that plays into it as well.
Hey, listen, want to put a bit of a postscript on a conversation we were having earlier, because this came to our attention after the conversation, and that is that Lamar Jackson actually recruited. Now, we saw them partying at Live. We saw that video, but he actually recruited Odell Beckham to Baltimore, and hence the celebration. And that, according to Ian, this is all according to Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, and he says that Beckham has a quote-unquote clear understanding that Jackson will, in fact, be the quarterback throwing to him this season. So, Connor, early on, I said this is a home run signing for the Ravens, because even if they don't spend money, they don't put the money directly in Lamar's pocket, they are showing once again that they're willing to spend money on Lamar and upgrade his supporting cast. If you're telling me that now this was done in concert with Lamar, even if indirectly, I mean, this is money well spent. To me, overpaying triggers me. Because, like, it's always people on the outside telling you that you overpaid for something that you want. If the Ravens paid Odell Beckham more money than anybody else would, but it helps him keep Lamar Jackson even if before a season, this feels like a great signing for the Baltimore Ravens, assuming that Odell Beckham has something left. But he's certainly better, with all due respect, than what they already have in that receiver room.
Yeah, and it doesn't pigeonhole them in this draft where they have to take a wide receiver at 22 anymore. And I think you could be reaching at a wide receiver at 22. So now you get an established veteran that seems hungry and ready to return. And finally, now you're showing your hand in a couple ways here, guys, for Lamar Jackson, in the belief of him growing as a passer. You hired Todd Monken, who loves to air the ball out to all 3 levels of the field, notably the deepest part of the field. So he'll be calling plays, and he'll look to be a more pass-happy, explosive play caller. And then you go get Odell Beckham, who fits that identity as well. Now you got to find a way to keep Lamar Jackson happy financially. So I don't think he should play on that $32.5 million franchise tag number, whatever it is. If they need to find a short-term answer to get him on the field this year, then do it. But no, I don't. I think Lamar Jackson should be getting at least if you could find a Band-Aid deal here on both sides that allows Lamar to hit free agency in 2 years with no franchise tag limits, and he'll still be 28 years old. He'll have a ton of value, but the Ravens get a shot at a Super Bowl these next 2 years with him.
I love it.
Hey, Connor, real quick, I'm curious, how you feeling about our bet about Anthony Richardson? I know you still got him. You mock him at number 4.
Michael.
Oh, is that right? You never felt better?
You seen all these Arizona trade rumors? Listen, if
Arizona
moves out of 3, they want to.
Who they coming up for?
Who they coming up for? Yeah, who are they coming up for? And then if the Colts are stuck at 4, the Colts, Chris Ballard cannot take a non-quarterback in this draft. He would be insane. And his one
second round, as Michael Smith said, when we were talking about tackles, you know there's more than one round to the draft. So maybe he takes a quarterback in the second round, not the first round.
Yeah, the success rate on those has been really good over the years. You can count them on one hand, essentially, at this point. So, listen, they could do that. I don't even think Hendon Hooker makes it to the second round, by the way. He could sneak into the back end of the first.
Really?
So, you're getting into an ugly tier and once you get out of day 1 of this draft. So, I think we're getting quarterback in those top 4 picks.
Wow.
Look, if the Cardinals have their way and somebody trades up into that 3 spot, they seem to be putting out the word that it's a hot spot for them. Maybe the Colts move up that 1 to get the guy they want. Hey, Connor, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Great talking to you guys. Take it easy.
All right, Connor, thank you. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.